Bishvat Tish, it's gewaldig to see everybody here today. And we know that by the tzaddikim, that they tell us that the Tu Bishvat is the day that people daven specifically for an esrog. It's, as we know, the Mishnah in Rosh Hashanah calls it a Rosh Hashanah le'ilon. And it's very, very interesting that the Lashon of the Mishnah, which we pointed out when we discussed it in Shir, is le'ilon. Right? Why is it not le'ilon nois for trees? So the Bnei Yissaschar explains that it's coming to tell us that the ikra is on the one tree. The one tree that we're referring to is the esrog tree. Le'ilon, that's the tree of the esrog tree. So, I'll tell you a mordek ha'maisa when it comes to the esrog. The Chernobyl, there was a chassid of the Chernobyl of the Rebbe, and he went to visit his Rebbe before Sukkot. So as the minhag was, before you go to the Rebbe, you bring the Rebbe an esrog. So he went to find a beautiful esrog for his Rebbe, the Chernobyl Rebbe, and he picks out a beautiful esrog. And then he realizes, hold on a minute, on the way to Chernobyl, I also have to go to Rishon. So I'm going to go to the Rishon Rebbe. But how can I go through Rishon without getting a bracha from the Rishon Rebbe? Once I get to Rishon Rebbe, I have to also get him an esrog, right? So he found him an esrog. And he realized that the esrog that he picked for the Rishon Rebbe was much nicer than the esrog that he got for his Rebbe. So he decided to switch it. So he comes to the Rishon Rebbe, and he gives the Rishon Rebbe the esrog that he kind of had picked for his Rebbe, but he switched them. The Rebbe turns it and says, "Are you sure this is my esrog?" It's like, wow, Ruach HaKodesh, that's unbelievable. No, I'm so sorry, I made a mistake, and turns it, and I made a mistake, and he switched it, and he gave him the other one. He came to the Chernobyl, and he came to his Rebbe, and he gave his Rebbe his esrog. And the Rebbe said, who touched this esrog before now? Somebody had touched this esrog, right? So it comes the time of Tu Bishvat, people daven, and they daven Meravada. The Ikka of Tzaddikim, they all say, it's not about davening for the esrog, it's about changing your heart. Because an esrog is doimen alev, and it's about where your heart is holding. And if your heart's holding in the right place, then the esrog will also be holding in the right place as well. And the question is, why specifically do we daven for an esrog on Tu Bishvat? What's the inyan? So we know that one of the simonim that the Gemara in Sukkah tells us of a simon of a kosher esrog is that that the fruit and the actual tree, the eights that it grows on, taste exactly the same. What can we learn from that? We can learn that, of course, the tree is only the vehicle for the fruit. The fruit is the ikka, and the tree is just a vehicle that brings us the fruit. So too, we have a guf, and the guf is like the tree. And the guf is just a vehicle that holds our neshama, that is able to nourish our neshama, just like the tree nourishes the fruit, so too the guf nourishes and helps the neshama to do what it's meant to be doing, to go in the right direction. You know, when we Tu Bishvat, we're about to start the fruits, and Baruch Hashem, we have a beautiful selection of fruits over here. I think we have over 24 fruits, so we're yait to the Shita of the Arizal. If anybody was worried when they came here today, if they're going to be yait to the Shita of the Arizal, we have the Shita of the Arizal, don't worry. And you know, one of the things and the purposes of the Tu Bishvat, of eating the fruits, is Yerushalmi that we mentioned already, which is to partake of that which the Rabbeinu Shalom created, and to marvel and to wonder and to enjoy that which the Rabbeinu Shalom created. In fact, they once found Rav Avig Demilla in a fruit stall, and he was just standing there. And somebody noticed him and said, you know, can I get the Rav anything? Is there anything I can do? So he said, no, I'm not coming to buy anything. I'm just coming to look at the Rabbeinu Shalom's creations. He wanted to simply look at the fruit to see the Rabbeinu Shalom's creations, which is incredible. In fact, they made a very interesting study because, you know, we talked about the inyan of fruit, that the Rabbeinu Shalom could have just created one fruit with one taste and one color. But no, the Rabbeinu Shalom, as you can see on the table, look at the rich colors, look at the peel, look at the pits, look at the way it's, the size, look at the presentation of each fruit. The way it is automatic, it looks nice, it looks very pleasant, it looks very tempting. That's what fruit is, right? It took us a while to get you guys, don't touch the fruit, we'll get to the fruit. Because it's tempting, fruit is nice, right? Because in the Maisa, that's how the Rabbeinu Shalom made it. They made a study. The scientists made the following study, and they made an experiment to understand what the colors and the aroma of food actually do to the eating experience. And they made an incision in a dog's neck, and they fed it. Basically, they made an injection in the dog's neck, and they offered it a potato. The dog rejected it. The scientist then offered a red apple, and all of a sudden, juices started to flow from the dog's neck, and his mouth began to water. Even though he didn't understand what it is, he had no experience of what it is, but at the end of the day, fruit is something that the Rebbeinu Shalom created in a very, very pleasant way, and it's something to think about on Tu B'Shvat when we're eating the fruit, when the fruit is mischadish, and there's a new chiddush of the fruit, and if we're zocheh to say shechiyonu, we can say shechiyonu, but the idea is to appreciate what the Rebbeinu Shalom created. Let me just say one last incredible idea as well. Is the Rebbeinu Shalom created such beautiful fruit, and it's one time of year that we get to really marvel and say thank you to the Rebbeinu Shalom and everything. But could you imagine if you would be able to buy milk and cheese and eggs and fish and meat, and you could store it for like years and years in your home? No refrigeration, no freezer, everything you could just put on the side. It would be great. Life would be so simple. But yet that's not what the Rebbeinu Shalom did. If you think about it, and it's especially true with fruits as well, they only last for a limited amount of time. You cannot keep fruits for that long. Yes, you can freeze them, you can pickle them, you can preserve them, but in a natural way, the way the Rebbeinu Shalom created them, there is no way really to preserve fruits. And you have to think why. Why did the Rebbeinu Shalom create such a metzias of fruits, or anything for that matter, that has to constantly keep on buying it? And the answer, I think, could be based on, Victor Miller writes this, and he says, based on the first Aveira that was done in Parashas Bereshis by the Nachash caused Chava to sin, and the punishment that the Nachash got was, you're going to eat from the earth. That is going to be your food. Now, if you think about it, it's not such a bad punishment. Imagine you're driving on the highway, right? You're driving on the motorway, and you're starving hungry. There's no gas station. There's no petrol station. There's nowhere you can stop. You're starving hungry. What are you going to do? You know what you can do? Very simple. You get out the car. You stop the car on the side of the road. Get out the car. Take a clump of earth and eat it. That's gewaldig. That's unbelievable. What is the problem? What is the klala that the Nachash got by having this klala? And the answer is, says Reb Simcha Bonim Reb Shischa, he says a gewaldig yisoid. He says the yisoid is like this. He says the yisoid is that what the Rebbeinu Shalom was essentially telling the Nachash was, I don't want to hear from you ever again. I don't want to see you. I don't want to know you. You've got food for the rest of your life. You never have to ask me anything ever again. Here's everything that you need. So that's the pshat over here. The pshat is the Rebbeinu Shalom made food that we constantly have to buy, that we constantly have to machadish ourselves. The Rebbeinu Shalom didn't give us food and said, here's food, goodbye. Imagine, for example, if a father says to his child as he's about to get onto the plane, right? He says, here you go, my dear son Yankala. Here's, I don't know, it depends on each person, right? $25,000. It should be okay for the year, right? Go spending money, cash, to spend on restaurants, just in case the food in yeshiva isn't exactly up to what you think it should be, right? Yeah, what does that mean? I don't want to hear from you. Have a great year. That's the end of the year. But what a father could do is he could say, you know what? Here's $20. You'll be calling me in about 10 minutes or something like that, right? He constantly wants to see you. The Rebbeinu Shalom created food in a way that he always wants to know from us. He wants to hear from us. He wants to have a communication. He wants to have a relationship with us. That is what Peiros Ha'inun represent. That's what fruit represents. And we should have this in mind when we're about to partake from this gewaldige, juicy, geschmack of fruit, that we should have in mind that the Rebbeinu Shalom made us a gewaldige opportunity in the world to always remember him, to always connect to him, to always talk to him. And Be'ez Hashem, the Rebbeinu Shalom, this Tu B'Shvat, will give us a Taka Rosh Hashanah for the fruit, but a Rosh Hashanah also on all of our nourishment, all of our sustenance, that Be'ez Hashem, this entire year ahead, will be a year of bracha and hatzlacha and gezint, and all the brachas that Klal Yisrael will give themselves a bracha. Enjoy.